if at some point in your life, you have to work with people where you feel a bit insecure, right? That's essential, because that means you're working with people who are better than you and who are pushing you, right? And so I always encourage, if you actually feel very secure in what you do, that means you're doing something comfortable and you're not pushing yourself. And so there are many, many times I've felt working with people in a group, am I doing enough? These people seem much better than me, and I think that's an inherent part of learning.
Chief, if there's one thing you want to take away from this hour you're getting with Sundar, may it be that. Let yourself be insecure from time to time. It's a lovely thing. The moment you start to get secure, and I can tell you, we all, because we've seen a little bit more life, the moment you get secure, you're actually moving backwards.
I remember reading about that and thinking, it's the idea that matters. It didn't matter where you come from or what your background is. One revolutionary idea, one brilliant invention can unleash other entrepreneurs to revolutionize industries in ways you could never predict. The people who built the transistor in many ways enable the entrepreneurs who are using incredible processing power to analyze data and diagnose cancer. In the same way, the invention of smartphones and GPS has enabled other companies to build apps that revolutionize the way we travel around cities. You will have many opportunities to reinvent yourself, and so so I think it's worthwhile taking risks and trying to do something you're really excited by. And if the first attempt you don't do it, you can try again, and things tend to work out in the long run.
Since you brought it up, it wasn't in the set of questions I'd worked on, but the attitude to failure in this generation is very different from mine. Mm-hmm. In my generation, to fail was to commit a crime. Mm-hmm. And yet what you're talking about is go do what you want, and there's always comeback, Sundar.
That's right, yeah. And I think that's how, in Silicon Valley, part of the reason so many people start up a company is, starting up a company and even having failed, you can wear it like a badge of honor, right? And I think that's important. Culturally, risk is rewarded. I remember when I started working at Google, if I went and people were discussing ideas, the other people who heard the ideas try to build on those ideas. They encourage you. So it's a culture of optimism. It's a culture of risk taking, and I think that's really important. So. I've always felt that, what we are doing, this is not a zero-sum game. We are all doing something for the very long term. And, a lot of stuff which will transcend companies and so on. So, I take a very long-term perspective. I also want it to be fun when you come to work every day, so. So, a big part of what I focus on at any given time is making sure we are innovating and building products for the future. It's just got to be a normal course of how you think. And so, we are constantly thinking about what to do next. So, Android is very popular. People are using smartphones. But, I always sit and think about what is the next version of how people use computing, right? And so we are thinking about, things like virtual reality or augmented reality. So these are all new areas, but we are constantly thinking about it. And so you have to do that on a constant basis to push forward. For me, it mainly is I've always been very passionate. So, I'm an optimist about how technology can make a difference. And so I focus on that, and that way you kind of tend to forget about the other things. The rest is noise, so in some ways.
Optimism is your solution.
I think one of the things which is exciting, I'm excited to be speaking here, is, I do think there are many, many different paths you take. And I think especially I was telling someone on the way over here, last week someone on Twitter tweeted to me and said, thank you on behalf of Indians, this was Indian American, but he tweeted to me and said, thank you on behalf of all Indian Americans for not being a doctor. And, showing other paths exist. And I hope it's the same. Being in the US, I find people take a remarkably varied number of paths. And, So I do think it's important to follow your dream and do something which you're, excited by. So I think if you follow your heart and do what you like, you will always do much better. And so I don't think it matters that you're an engineer or you're in science, or it could be in any field. And I think you're a good example of having gone to IAM and switching and being at that time I distinctly was impressed by the fact that you were bold enough to do something like that. But I think it's phenomenal. You did something which you followed your heart, and I think